Woo! Thank God! Finally a franchise without zombies, infected, or reanimated corpses. I can finally talk about something new and different and... While we have explored junkies under the sea, Spartans putting up the floodgates in space, and nuclear fallout, it seems we have consistently seen scenarios that in some form or fashion have made a dangerous way into turning people into mindless freaks that mutate and gain the urge to kill and devour. But in a certain universe on a particular planet, that urge to murder and cannibalize, well, it's somewhat innate in the majority of the local populace, even though they're slightly mutated. This week, we cover the Bubes, a charismatic megamaniacal villain who warranted being rehashed for 2 games and a spin-off even after dying, can't get a malpractice lawsuit if there is no law, extra thick, OMG, I'm so quirky and random but have a tragic backstory I hide to mask the pain, a bloodbath of entrails and comedic one-liners, a Mad Max, Dune, and Fallout hybrid, tattooed dominatrix women are my fetish, a CEO with a knack for magic, welcome to Vault Hunting 101.
1 billion, gajillion, fifillion, million. Yeah.
Extra wub-wubs included, explosive game itself. This week we tell you why you wouldn't survive Borderlands' Pandoran Wasteland. Before we truly begin, we will not be covering anything from the surface of Pandora's moon, Alpus, as it is technically not a part of the Pandoran Wasteland, so a majority of what occurs in the pre-sequel will not be discussed today. Maybe we can save that for another time if I get desperate enough to find universes to cover in the next year or 2. Also, the game mechanic of the new U stations where you die, pay a percentage of your total income, and come back to life good as new is not canonical. It was confirmed by the developers, despite a mission where you literally kill yourself and come back to life. All it is, it's just a quirky way of explaining how you came back to life in the game. I mean, hell, Roland died and didn't come back, did he? And oh, by the way, spoiler alerts ahead. An undeciphered amount of years ago, an ancient race of, oh hell, what's with space-related franchises and having ancient advanced civilizations with superior technology dying out millennia ago and leaving behind uber-powerful stuff for humanity to find and kill itself over? Well, a race referred to as the Iridians dominated a majority of deep space planets, and as a precaution to possibly prevent widespread conflict and chaos, designed massive caches and prisons called the Vaults, scattered across numerous planets in the cosmos. As it is with any ancient race, they were forced into extinction for some reason, mainly to avoid writing intricate backstories on all new forms of life. But the Iridians did leave behind guardians in order to protect the seal of said vaults, as well as any artifacts of great importance. Eons away and decades before the events of Borderlands took place, which Borderlands does take place in the year of 2684, on a distant planet of Promethea, the interplanetary weapons manufacturer Atlas excavated ancient technology. After some reverse engineering, amplified the capabilities and armaments their corporation could create with their weaponry and upgrade their spaceships and machinery. With this jagged, untamed, and frankly dangerous wasteland, rumors started to spread that maybe other planets held these very same vaults, considering the abandoned tech was used viably with spacefaring craft. It was basically a universal gold rush where any and everyone was trying to find this elusive technology. Just as the California gold rush was for Americans in 1848, the prospect of finding such valuable loot enticed multitudes of people, leading to population booms and newly formed civilizations in the mined areas, as well as detrimental effects to the land or planet's population and environment. Acting upon these rumors, the Atlas Corporation set out to colonize and create archaeological digs in the hopes of unearthing another vault. People migrated near these dig sites where the actual term vault was coined. For a long period of time, absolutely nothing had surfaced to prove these rumors true, yet more individuals and freelancers arrived in high hopes to attain a fortune. Most of this time spent on Pandora's surface was during a veritable winter season, where a majority of the planet's more than dangerous wildlife had been hibernating, deceiving the new colonizers into believing that Pandora was a prominently barren wasteland. Before the land was ruled by Mad Max cosplayers and bloodthirsty lunatics, Pandora gave refuge to some deadly species that could kill you in a number of ways. With the planet's seasons having drastically longer cycles than Earth, considering Pandora takes 10 Earth years to orbit its own sun, many people had arrived near the end of Pandora's winter. Once the planet reached a summer-spring-like season, these beasts awoke and started attacking colonies left and right. More on these creatures once we explode our way past the lore. With nothing to show for their time on the planet and now their lives at further risks, many settlers abandoned the planet. Atlas had been slowly deploying their armed branch by the name of the Crimson Lance to slowly militarize and hold control of the planet. People that had enough cash had left the planet. Some people were too broke after betting their life savings and had no choice but to stay on Pandora. And for a while, Atlas had remained supreme during this fool's errand. Another weapons manufacturer arrived on the planet's surface, the Dahl Corporation, under the pretext that they were only there to mine for resources and minerals, which gave non-Atlas citizens an economic and supply boom to cultivate further. It was because of Dahl that Pandora saw such an uptick of industrialization that would soon be the headquarters of so many maniacs and wastelanders. Now, in order to keep up with the needed heavy labor behind processing ores and working machinery, Dahl outsourced these jobs by importing convicts from around the universe to do the labor for free, keeping them in labor camps as basically slaves. The Dahl Corporation, however, wasn't on Pandora to just dig up rocks.
The rocks, Hank!
No, they're minerals. Jesus, Marie.
Dahl sent an archaeological team led by Patricia Tanis to discover any info on the vaults, but the brutal wildlife and fauna slowly but surely killed her entire team.
We spent more than 36 hours earlier today relocating our campsite closer to our dig site, only to be ambushed by local wildlife that's hungry coming out of hibernation. Half of my staff was eaten alive, or killed by skags. I survived by hiding under a colleague of mine who was being devoured on top of me,
leaving her to become obsessed over discovering the vault by herself. This insanity was not fruitless, as she was able to decipher Iridian language and find a fragment of a vault key that would be used to open a now known to be existent vault on the planet of Pandora. Not soon after this discovery did Atlas deploy a powerful team of the Crimson Lance, the 3rd Starborn Brigade of D Company, to attack and procure the artifact. Their efforts were definitely not in vain anymore. Dahl, being a vastly underpowered force compared to Atlas, immediately made the decision to run away with their tails tucked between their legs to avoid casualties. However, this was only for major personnel of Dahl, as thousands of families of Dahl were left behind, as well as their plants, machinery, and even Dr. Tanis, who refused to quit her obsession of finding the vault. On that note, though, the slave labor convicts, who were also left behind with no security, eventually broke out, stole any weapons that they could, and took over the abandoned facilities of Dahl. Not only did Pandora house ferocious animals, but now thousands of irritated, insane, mutated, brutal inmates who had been worked to near death and transformed by the effects of the extended presence of the Vault Key for years were now free to kill, rape, and plunder as they please. The Vault Key's mutations on the bandits forced them into every shape and size, becoming hulking behemoths, bloodthirsty midgets, or even helmet-wearing wormheads with anger issues. These freaks were willing to go through any means to get what they want, armoring up with any scrap metal and armor they can find. Mutating beyond belief and having high amounts of adrenaline and pain tolerance would make them impossible for a regular person to take down, and even worse, as they brutalized, cannibalized, and used innocent people's skin as tents. The gruesome bandit lord Sledge was able to find yet another vault key fragment at the source of their previous slave labors, Headstone Mine, and quickly rose to leadership amongst his band of bandits. Now the key procured by Tanis that was targeted by the Crimson Lance was actually ripped away by another bandit leader named Crom, a former prison warden also abandoned by Dahl, who saw the opportunity to reign over the convicts alongside his fellow warden Baron Flint. In the midst of the chaos brought out by the ex-cons, Commandant Steele of the Crimson Lance intercepted a signal from Tanis discussing the vault key fragment being stolen and sought to take it for herself. The only people still coming to this planet were those that were either A, stubborn enough to believe in vaults, B, foolish and willing to face death itself over a myth, or C, have OP abilities and strengths. If all three, you're probably a vault hunter, which you are definitely not. This is where the events of Borderlands start to take off, where the original 4 vault hunters arrive and upset, overthrow, and destroy the plans of the Bandits, the Crimson Lance, and beyond. The original vault hunters, guided by the voice of a mysterious guardian angel, defeated each leader of every faction one by one, attaining each vault key fragment. Leading up to discovering this vault, the alien race Iridians left behind Guardians tried to protect the vault and would attack anyone drawing close to their chambers, proving to be violently formidable foes. Despite attaining most of these fragments, Commandant Steele was the one to successfully open the vault and reap its rewards. Holy crap! Is there anybody out there that still thinks they can survive this shit? After 4 people somehow took this beast down with just guns, it was discovered not much loot was behind this particular vault, and instead it was used as a prison to keep this leviathan of a beast contained. Able to impale you and swallow you whole, it's basically a feat of plot armor that 4 people of similar size weren't given the same grim fate. The death of Still led to insanity in promotions amongst the Crimson Lance ranks, where a 5-year-old named Mikey rose to the rank of Admiral. The lower-ranking General Knox attempted a campaign to bring Atlas's order back to Pandora, although he was completely unwilling and just wanted to quit the military, and at the very end he even tried to kill himself, showing how dysfunctional the Lance was after just 1 person had perished. The remaining sane portions of the Lance defected and joined up with Roland to form the Crimson Raiders. Killing that vor of a beast, while mostly without its immediate lucrative rewards, did set off a chain reaction across the globe. Shortly after the manufacturer company Jacobs had been busy with their own work in Jacob's Cove on Pandora, where their hired physician Dr. Ned had created an army of zombies. At this point, I'm tired of talking about zombies. These specific ones die after a number of bullets and sometimes are suicidal or bigger. It's freaking zombies, you know what I'm talking about. After the downfall of General Knox, the servant dopey robots known as the Claptraps staged a revolt to overthrow the human dictators who had been treating them like shit, and the Claptraps even took control of their bodies as a grand revolution of a hive mind goofy intelligence. Hyperion was responsible for the production of this line of robots, so the then Vice President Mr. Blake ventured to Pandora to put a halt to this uprising. It was probably because of Mr. Blake's presence here during the end of the revolution that he noticed the emergence of a brand new era for Pandora. The death of the destroyer and opening of the first vault opened up veins and reservoirs of the planet's most valuable resource, iridium, a reusable and rechargeable energy source that can be also used as ammunition with high energy performance rates, and also a connection to the elusive but powerful sirens. Refining iridium produced by a byproduct called slag, which could be used to enhance weapons to multiply damage from all other sources, and also used forcibly on test subjects with either fatal or mutative results. Handsome Jack, which the Borderlands series does have a major hard-on for, was working a low-level position in Hyperion when he caught wind of what was going on in Pandora, quickly rose through the ranks by basically killing them like Tacitor, and took any advantage possible that he could on Pandora's moon Alpus and the Hyperion moonbase to take control with the assistance of the original Vault Hunters and their cohorts, until ultimately being betrayed by them after they saw how power-hungry he became trying to use the Eye of the Destroyer. Jack had opened the vault on Alpus and saw premonitions of the Warrior, another powerful but controllable beast hidden away deep within Pandora's next vault. Jack took control of Hyperion, twisted public narrative, and claimed himself the person that opened the vault and seized all mining efforts on Pandora, while also mercilessly killing any and all opposition to those that would get in the way of his goal of finding the vault and awakening the Warrior.
Okay, how about this? Lady, I don't even know what to call you. You tell me why you look like you headbutted a belt sander, and I'll let all you go right now.
My husband gave me a skag pearl ring. The pearl released hunger-inducing pheromones.
Oh, you know what? I am so sorry. I just, forgive me. Where's your husband now?
He's dead.
That is a heartbreaker. But you got something in common with him now, at least.
This was achieved by Hyperion creating the Loaders, who would be deployed anywhere at any time via being shot to the Pandoran surface via a moonshot, digistructed via a building platform, or even built on the spot by a surveyor. These metallic soldiers proved to be more formidable than Atlas's infantry, considering their versatility in all forms of combat, killing anyone possible from far distances with snipes, those who tried to escape by air, or any human that does have heavy firepower by taking ammunition damage pretty well with their metallic hides. Seeking out the 4 sirens of the universe, women born with fantastic psychic powers that can kill in the literal blink of an eye, whose powers can be amplified by iridium. Jack, using his daughter Angel, who was a siren, pumped untold amounts of iridium into her body in order to power her, trick the original Vault Hunters into opening the first vault, and to power up the vault key fragment that he stole from Tanis. And once he witnessed his daughter die, he chained up Lilith to do the exact same thing, and somehow killed Roland with just a puny shot from a pistol to the back. Once Jack was able to open the vault, unleash the warrior, a kaiju-level monster, he was able to assume control of it and push to using it and the Hyperion moonbase in order to take control of Pandora fully. But of course, to make the game fair and give the player a chance, 4 new vault hunters that Jack had previously tried to execute and hire countless bandits to kill, they do persevere and take down the warrior with badass weapons. With the death of Jack, Hyperion relegated Offworld to their moonbase due to the increasingly violent nature of Pandora. The resulting aftermath of what happened after the warrior was destroyed and the vault was opened again, we were able to see a roadmap of every vault throughout the grand cosmos on multitudes of planets, and we were left hanging on a third game that we may or may not ever see.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Sorry to be skimming over so much of the lore, but 2 games and 4 DLCs each can be more than a mouthful. It's a dangerous landscape to think you would possibly traverse the diverse landscapes of Pandora. Let's say with what you have on you right now, you decide to launch an expedition to go to Pandora, thinking it's just a planet to look for buried treasure and mine minerals. You arrive during a winter-like period, and for a while things are going swimmingly like the original settlers. However, when summer arrives, even if there is no corporate involvement or bandits lurking about, the animals of the planet will be enough to turn you into a pile of dung. Creatures including the skag, quadrupedal beasts compared to dogs that have natural hardened armor around their backs and mouths, allowing them to withstand considerable amounts of gunfire and blunt damage. In order to survive in the rocky, mostly desolate wastelands, skags have developed sharpened claws and sometimes acidic phlegm to dig out hollows to live in. Their mouths are laced with barbs, not teeth, indicating they rip apart their victim's flesh violently instead of chewing them, much like an alligator. The older a skag grows, the larger it becomes with a more elongated tongue to whip prey and sometimes grow into a spitter variant that can utilize their acidic phlegm to wear down prey from afar. It wasn't until years down the road that savage raiders would discover that they could be tamed much like a domesticated canine. Rack basically being miniature pterodactyls with razor-sharp tails who swoop down on prey, lacerate them at full speed, and will usually fly within flocks to overwhelm their prey. They are relatively weak and can be taken down with just a few bits of firepower. Rack hives are gargantuan lumbering beasts that could easily kill you by stomping you flat just due to their sheer size, but they are more dangerous in the fact that they have a symbiotic relationship with racks, who will nest in the porous growths on their back. Even while these giant creatures are hibernating, the hives are protected by large nests of racks. Scythids are insect-like slugs that can evolve and adapt at a faster rate, who attained natural resistances to just about every kind of damage, and are able to leap great distances to close in on prey, or stomp forward and slash away with scythe-like claws, with some variants exploding upon death. Larva crabworms, some buggy crustaceans with huge pincer claws, could either snip you into pieces, or before even reaching you, will spit corrosive acid on your flesh to wear down your muscles as you try to struggle away. They can burrow away underground to either retreat or ambush vault hunters. Drifters, daddy long legs looking creatures that can also spit corrosive acid at people while pouncing at them, impaling them with their harpoon-like legs. Boner farts, yes, I consider them boner farts. I didn't finish the part of the mission where he changes their names back to bullymongs, so now they're all called boner farts, which are ape-like four-armed beasts with immense strength, enough to pick up and hurl cars, rocks, and rip you apart by hand. Claptrap's experience with them was really out of sight. Spider ants, armored insectoids with diamond-hard plating on the front of their bodies and forelegs, can hack and slash, roll like Sonic the Hedgehog at high speeds at you, while also pooping egg sac bombs at you with a variety of elemental effects at their disposal. But they do have an extremely weak abdomen that easily can be destroyed and ruptured, killing them instantly. That's if you can get behind one of them to land a critical shot. Varkids are basically a bug-type Pokemon, starting off as a larva similar to a giant scorpion, attacking their prey with a fatal for most sting. If you manage to attack or scare them, they can go into a state of hyper-metamorphosis, forming cocoons in the dirt that grow hastily, leaving them vulnerable for a brief period. If you allow them to evolve at level 7, they will burst forth into their adult form, who rely on flying about, avoiding damage while spitting, you guessed it, corrosive acid. Again, if they feel they are in danger or about to die, will fall back to evolving yet again, and at level 10 will evolve out as a badass bar kid, using guillotine-like pincers to snap people in half at will. Threshers are dirt-loving, sand-loving, any kind of underground-loving tentacle hentai beasts that also will burrow below the ground, crushing people with their snake-like grip, using their tentacles to whip at high speeds and rip people's limbs apart. I mean, even ask Sir Hammerlock, and to remember to give him a hand. Crystallisks will protect valleys and icy areas, especially those riddled with valuable crystals. They can crush you and throw you back with powerful shockwaves and launch exploding crystals at you from afar. And those annoying frickin' stalkers, if they just come up on you, they're camouflaged and they just decapitate you or just destroy you in any number of ways.
But that's just if you find yourself on the planet without much violent human intervention. If during the first portion of the search for the vaults, the heavily armed Atlas suspect you of carrying a vault key fragment, they would resort to violent methods to milk it from you, much like the TK Baja. If you were hauled out of the planet by Dahl and abandoned, you may find yourself as a weaponless citizen as the scream of convicts escaping prison resonated in the sky nearby. The mutations of the vault key making these deranged criminals inhuman, being chopped apart by whatever scrap metal they could attain, riddled with bullets by stolen or rudimentary weapons, and even if you do escape, you'll have to face seeing those you loved being murdered intensely and their bodies used as decorations. If you resort to attempting to live with these raiders, you'll have to live with the fact that your lifestyle could have you dying in the most idiotic ways, falling off high-speed vehicles, your allies deciding to kill you over a disagreement or unsolicited quarrel, shooting yourself, blowing yourself up for fun.
Shoot me in the face! In the face! Do it! Shoot me in the face! Face, 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 face! Now! Bullets in the face! Want him! Need him! Gimme, gimme, gimme! At the sound of the bell, it will be face shooting o'clock! Bong! Knock, knock! Who's there? Shoot me in the face! End of joke! Thank you!
Being killed at will by your leaders who view you as disposable pawns, and taking on any person no matter how well equipped they are, especially sirens who generally fight with a moral compass but can disintegrate, halt, and freeze you with the flick of their wrists. Dr. Ned's zombie army overwhelming you, biting you, and infecting you, the Claptrap Revolution killing you, and using your dead carcass as a new husk to insert their robotic programming in,
with Sir Hammerlock and dying to one of the just destructive animals out there, being thrown in Mad Moxie's Underdome Riot and dying in the pit. There's just a lot going on when it comes to the DLC realm.
Being subjected to the quick and tyrannical rule of Handsome Jack, who mercilessly killed anyone who did not fall in line with his grand vision, and even contracted bandits to do his dirty work. Robots descending from the moon, digistructuring near you with endless supplies, and having their pregnant mamas pooping some more out to swarm you with mostly bullet-resistant infantry. You could be subjected to slag experimentations that will most likely kill you in the most painful manner possible, or transform you into a beast with your mind completely changed.
Much like what happened to Bloodwing. Oh, Bloodwing, why?
All while the weapons provided to the Wastelanders having capabilities of numerous elements, including shocking electricity that can wear down any shields you could procure and shock your heart into stopping, incendiary that can burn your flesh, corrosive to burn away your skin, muscles, and dreams, of course, while also melting any metallic robots you may have allied up with, slag that will intoxicate your body into a purplish glow, making you even more susceptible to any of these elements. Imagine the sensation of burning alive being magnified. And of course your guns firing explosions. The evil in the world won't be the only risk at your life and well-being, as people like Marcus and Dr. Zed tend to use their business practice to have an excuse to maim and kill. If you find yourself injured, Dr. Zed may be the only, reliable doctor to go to, and considering he barely had a doctorate in medicine or tends to stab his patients, he probably wouldn't survive any medical procedures he lies out. If you attempt to rip off Marcus the gun distributor, he will not hesitate to shoot you, although will probably do so in a way to keep you alive to leave a message and to have a possible returning customer. If you find yourself with a vault opening, or if the tyrannical leader successfully took control of what came out of them, giant kaiju beasts would burst forth, and well, what the fuck are you gonna do against either of these? Seriously, do I have to tell you why you wouldn't survive if these things came into your life? You're dead. Get over it.
Thank you, Moist Critical, for your in-depth analysis on how we're all fucked. That about wraps up a delightful life on the world of Pandora. If you think you could survive, there is one little girl out there who potentially disagrees with you, as even surviving in this world has completely warped her mind and caused her to become quite a psycho killer, but with logical reason. The animals of this planet can devour and destroy you in a bazillion different ways, as can their legendary counterparts. The bandits left on the world can cannibalize and brutalize your body in a bazillion different ways. The armies that rotate through the planet will kill you without question if you are found to be in their way whatsoever, and the harsh conditions of the planet, no matter where you may end up, even in a somewhat paradise-looking setting, the plant life and vegetation could even kill you via poisoning or fiery explosion. Basically, you're facing doomsday. Did I miss anything as I opened up this gearbox of death and destruction? Did I not cover everything quite as badass as you thought I should have? What do you want to see next? Comment below, and don't forget a like and sub for more future content, and donate to my Patreon or YouTube live streams to have your name featured on the screen here. Next time, we will be returning to the zombie genre once again to cover a great movie franchise that started a somewhat mediocre video game franchise involving reanimated dead corpses turning into bioweapons. I think it's something called Evil Residence. I think that's the name of the game. I'll have to check back. I don't know much about it. Anyways, until next time, I'm Zack, aka Wow Such Gaming, and there ain't no rest for the wicked until we close our eyes for good. Stay wow.